Wow, episode number 6. How's everybody doing? It's Carmen here from Carmens Bronco shop. So in this episode, we're stripping the rest of the drivetrain off the frame. We're taking the front portion of the body off the frame as well, and we're installing the suspension, which is the new leaf springs in the back and the shock hoops in the front. And then the frame is going off to the sandblasting shop. So that's exciting. Hopefully stay tuned. Watch it. Enjoy. Here we go. So I keep forgetting. At the beginning of this video, you're going to see pictures of my old truck, the one that I did about 7 or 8 years ago. It's a picture of before I started and before and after. So hopefully you enjoy those. But I just didn't want you being confused, thinking that that was the truck that we're working on right now. Anyway, enjoy. This is kind of important. If you look down this edge, you'll see that the inner fender doesn't actually sit flush with the edge of the rad support. So when I'm putting it back on, I got to be careful with that. And it was exactly the same thing on this side, which I just finished taking off. Anyway, that's what we're up to today. Got to take these parts off the solenoid and whatnot off the inside of that fender and throw that in the scrap pile. And we're getting close. Once everything is stripped off this rad support, then the rad and the support can come out. Then it starts stripping off pumps and pulleys and everything, and get the engine out of here. And pull that firewall off at some point as well. All kinds of fun stuff going on. And there's the front part of the tub. All done basically. Ready to go. We're messing around with paint colors. And I think we're going to go with the one on the right. It's pretty deep. It's almost like fire engine red. And of course there's the other part of the body. Kind of funny really when you think about it. Part where it starts to get really exciting because you've just kind of been tearing away rust and cutting off bolts and heating bolts off to remove them and finding problems. We've got half the tub built. That's what I'm kind of setting the camera on here right now. We've got the back portion off. The frame is sitting right here to my left, and you're going to see it in a second. We're getting ready to pull the motor, and we've got the engine stand sitting here to my right. So we'll set that, we'll hook that up to the engine stand, get that out of the way, and just kind of leave it here until after the build, because I'm going to have to take some parts off of it, brackets, so on and so forth, to go on the new motor, which is going to be a 347 stroker. And the transmission, that's got to come off. I'm taking that out to a buddy of mine who was the Ford driveline specialist for about 25 or 30 years until he retired. So he knows what he's doing. He's going to rebuild the transmission, check the transfer case, make sure it's all good, and then we're going to start putting parts back on. I've got all the parts for the entire body sitting in here in either the shop where I'm working out of or in the loft above. But we want to get the frame all sandblasted, and before I do that, the next step once I get the transmission and the engine out is to install the new suspension lift, 2.5 inches, not a big deal. So we're going to have a 2.5 inch suspension lift, and we're going to have a 1 inch body lift just to kind of make the tires work. We're not going to be doing a whole lot of rock crawling with this one, so it shouldn't be a big deal. And to be perfectly honest, I'm only about 5'11", and I was having a hard time getting in the last one, and I had a 6.5 lift on that one, and it was a beautiful build and everything, and it rode really, really well. But I wanted to keep a little bit lower so that I could hop into it and out of it without with a little bit more ease. Anyway, I'm going to switch it over here and show you where we're at before I pull the engine out. I'm not overly comfortable with the way I've got the chain set up, but it's going to come up and go right back down, so I'm not overly concerned about it. I've left so many things on the motor, it's hard to get at. I wasn't worried about that distributor or the cover, but I've got the chain fastened in a really secure spot there. So we're all set. It's exciting. Next video will be basically install the suspension lift, or maybe I'll take a shot with just the transmission in place. There you have it. Engine's out. Huh. That's an interesting. That's a baffle, I guess. Trying to keep the heat off of something on the driver's side. Well, anyway, that's probably a mistake. I probably should have taken the mounts off from the bottom, but regardless, had to lift it up a little higher to get it out of here. Anyway, we're in good shape. One more step. Now I just got to fasten that motor up to the engine stand and move over here and haul the train. I realized I've been kind of getting carried away here and I haven't taken a video in a while. Anyway, these back corners, this one specifically was rusted out. So I just got some nice thick washers, roughly the same size as thickness as the frame, about close to 1/8 of an inch. And welded it directly over where the hole was. Obviously you can't do just one corner because you'd be uneven. So we've done this corner as well. And we did all the spots where you've got a mount. So they're all raised up roughly 1/8 of an inch now. And it seemed easier to do that, and maybe even a little stronger, than if I actually tried to cut the mounts out exactly the same size as the washers I was using. So you can see these are, that's thick, that's nice. They're solid now. And of course, as you can see, the engine's gone, everything's gone. And we're in the middle of tearing off the back springs to install the new ones. New ones are over there on the floor with all the other good stuff. And, well, obviously there's a bunch of rusted parts. This has been together, I think now, since 1977. This is 2020, so we're talking 43 years. Man, oh man, hard to believe. Anyway, we'll get that apart and take some new video once the new springs are installed, and let you know what kind of problems I had, what sort of solutions I came up with on the problems. And wow. Like I said, it's been 43 years since this truck was built, and those U-bolts didn't come off easy. Actually, I broke 6 of the 8 bolts, snapped them off with a strong bar and a piece of pipe. As you can see here, I've already got my new brakes on. Maybe down the road we'll go over to convert over to disc in the back, but for now, just trying to keep it a little more simple. I got enough on my plate, so we just put all new drums and pads and all the gear back on. So anyway, here we are. Gonna move that differential out of the way and install the new springs. All right, so the old springs are removed and here's the new springs. One thing you have to do, as you can see there, the nib on the bottom of the bolt that holds the springs together, that's about 5/8 roughly. So you have to come over here to this area on the differential where it basically it purchases right there, and ream that out just a little bit so that that'll fit in snug. Don't go 9/16, or sorry, don't go 5/8, don't go 11/16 because that'll be too large. So just take your 5/8 bit and ream that out a tiny bit so that the new springs will fit on. That's cool. Everything else went pretty well. These bolts came out with a little bit of hard work. Anyway, those slid out once you were able to get them loosened, and I used a strong bar and another bar on the end of the strong bar to give me a little bit of leverage. Anyway, the U-bolts, they all snapped as they were coming off, so that wasn't a problem. But this area here, of course, where your shackles go in, this was tough. And you have to be careful because you can use heat and you can try to cut the bolts out and everything like that. But what I ended up doing was using my grinder and grinding right in tight to this edge and tight to this edge on both sides, because this bolt would not come out. This has got the bushing in it and everything. So that's what I did. And then of course I used the put them in the vise and use a couple of one larger socket and one smaller socket and push them through, much the same as you'd compress a U-joint. That had to be done on both sides. So anyway, it's rolling along. We've got the old springs are outside, ready to go to the metal scrap yard. We've got the new springs sitting in here. I'm going to put the bushings in place and hopefully have them installed a little later on today. So here we are. New springs are installed. Everything worked out really great. There are a couple of videos online that show how you can get these bushings out. Obviously these ones are two-piece. You slide this one in from this side and this one in from this side, and then there's a sleeve in the center. That's the same as all of these points. But if you're trying to change the springs without taking the body off, it's a little different. Luckily, the body's off here, so I was able to just take everything off, throw the old springs in the driveway, and start it with a brand new set. I even got them right. It says front, pointed to the front. The studs are a little long, so when I'm all done and making sure that I don't have to take anything apart, then I'll cut them off. Should be fine. Anyway, next step is to install the rear end. Hopefully that goes well. So there we are. Axle is back in place. Everything's torqued down. 95 pounds for a 9/16 bolt. Beautiful. It went together real slick. So here we are. I haven't been out for a while, or actually I haven't been videoing for a while. I've been busy working, but anyway, so as you can see, we got the new shock hoops installed. I still have to trim the tab up here and fasten it to the tower, but that's okay. Obviously brakes are done. I'm doing the radius arms today. I broke one stud off. That's okay, we'll work on that in the vise. A little bit of heat, that should come out pretty easy. If not, we'll tap it out. No big deal. I'm getting close to taking this frame and having it sandblasted. Any welding that needed to be done on the frame is done. New springs are installed in the rear. Like I said, the hubs are all done, everything's good. The only thing I'm not really doing right now is the rear ends. I have no idea what the ratio is, anything, but basically I'm going to do the truck, have it all geared up, take it for a drive and see what it feels like, and then decide on the gear ratios and lockers. But you can only do so much right now. There's a lot of guesswork in there, and I'm not really sure. Last Bronco I did, I had 40-inch tires on it, and I ended up with 488 rear ends, and they were great. All sorts of low range and everything, but you rev kind of high going down the highway. I'd like to be able to get 65 or 70 out of it without it screaming down the road, because in order to use this thing on as a daily driver, you sort of want that. Otherwise, you're going down the highway and you can hardly hear yourself think, and then it becomes a bit of a chore to drive it on the highway, and then you don't do it, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, why do I have this? So the whole deal is to really enjoy the driving experience. So I'm thinking maybe 411s, 456, something along that line, so that low range is good and it's not screaming when you're going down the highway. Anyway, I'm starting to babble here. Anyway, hopefully everybody's having a great day. I know. It seems like I didn't really move. Well, I didn't. Not very much. Anyway, the next episode, the frame comes back. It's all epoxied. We paint it black, and we start installing parts on it. Plus, I got a shipment from Wild Horses, and as usual, the guys didn't let me down. Everything's there, my brand new grill, all that stuff. I'll show you a few new parts. And like I said, we start installing the body. It's cool. Hopefully you're really enjoying this, and if you are, please subscribe. If you're watching this on Messenger or Facebook, share it with other people. It's great. I'm really enjoying the story, and I hope you guys are too. Thanks a lot, and have yourselves a fantastic day.